Tesehki, you know that. She got emotional when talking about you.
She insinuated that my ex. I'm like, damn, I thought we was cool. Like, what the? She was a good sister, but if you hang around her too long, she get like agitated. Like, I need my perks. Y'all getting on my nerves. You're a crack baby. Like, she used to say that to me and my little brother.
Wait, she said she need her what?
She called them vitamins, but whatever, perks, whatever. So like when she don't got her perks, she kind of like.
Baby Toki just put Chrisean through absolute turmoil, and somehow, the internet is cheering her on. She took things to another level when she leaked a video showing Chrisean physically handling Junior, all because the little boy wouldn't stop crying. But here's the painful irony. Many believe she's the reason he has developmental challenges to begin with. Throughout her pregnancy, Chrisean was reportedly smoking and drinking heavily, living recklessly while carrying a child. Now, she seems angry at the outcome, frustrated with the very challenges she may have contributed to creating. This isn't the first time she's been at the center of controversy. Just days ago, she was publicly feuding with Tia Kemp over similar concerns. In one shocking incident, she allegedly left Junior in a hot car so she could argue with Blueface over the phone, a moment that's impossible to forget and difficult to believe. And now, with reports surfacing of her laying hands on the child, she's lashing out at Tiki for daring to call her out. It's as if every time Chrisean hits what looks like rock bottom, she finds a way to sink even deeper. Instead of taking accountability, she often turns the tables, painting herself as the victim and urging her followers to pray for me. Before the physical altercation with Junior even came to light, she was already facing harsh backlash online. Many were holding her responsible for her son's struggles. In fact, during a recent livestream with Dessa Frost, a caller didn't waste a second before condemning her, accusing her of ruining that little boy's life. The criticism was intense. People called her evil, even demonic. And true to form, once the heat turned up, she went online asking for prayers again, a pattern that feels all too familiar. Just as the storm surrounding her treatment of Junior had finally begun to calm, Chrisean found herself once again at the center of public outrage. This time, though, it wasn't just social media chatter or angry comments. The concern escalated. Beyond the usual cycle of online outrage this time, people felt compelled to take serious, real-world action. It all started with yet another chaotic livestream. By now, those who follow Chrisean's content had come to expect a certain level of unpredictability from her broadcasts. There had been loud arguments, erratic behavior, and occasional oversharing, but this particular stream crossed a line that alarmed even her most dedicated viewers. The kind of line where people don't just log off or leave a comment, they pick up the phone. According to reports from multiple sources, a number of viewers were so disturbed by what they witnessed during the live session that they contacted Child Protective Services directly. Some even shared clips from the stream as evidence, uploading them to forums and social media pages to highlight their concerns. The specific reason, Chrisean, once again, appeared to show a deeply troubling disregard for her child's safety. Details from the livestream paint a distressing picture. At one point, Junior was seen in the background clearly, unsupervised while dangerous objects and hazardous conditions were in plain sight. Whether it was sharp items left within reach, unstable furniture posing a risk, or substances that shouldn't have been anywhere near a child, the visual evidence spoke for itself. What made it worse was Chrisean's apparent obliviousness to the situation. Instead of noticing and addressing these hazards, she remained focused on the cameramanting, arguing with viewers, or promoting her latest projects, seemingly unaware or unconcerned with what was happening behind her. For many, this wasn't just an isolated incident. It was part of a disturbing pattern that had been building for months, maybe even years. Followers had witnessed similar moments before. Junior crying off camera while Chrisean kept streaming. Risky behavior left unchecked, situations no responsible parent would tolerate. But while people had spoken up in the past, leaving comments, posting reaction videos, even reaching out to authorities, this particular livestream seemed to push things to a new level. What set it apart was how blatant it felt. There was no plausible deniability left. It wasn't a fleeting moment someone could write off as a misunderstanding or bad timing. The stream went on for long enough, with enough repeated incidents, that viewers couldn't look away or make excuses anymore. The outcry was immediate. Social media lit up with calls to action. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag Protect Junior, hashtag Do Better Chrisean, and hashtag CPS. Now were just a few that gained traction within hours. Larger commentary accounts picked up the story, amplifying it to a wider audience. Suddenly, it wasn't just Chrisean's usual circle of followers paying attention, it was people who had never even heard of her before. Outraged on principle after seeing the viral clips. And behind all the noise was a core serious concern, a child's well-being. People weren't just angry for the sake of it. They were genuinely worried that if nothing changed, Junior could end up seriously hurt or worse. This wasn't internet drama anymore. It was a real-world issue demanding intervention. As the hours and days passed following the livestream, more reports allegedly poured in to Child Protective Services. Some viewers even claimed to have followed up, providing case numbers and updates. Though those details remain unconfirmed due to privacy regulations, what is clear, however, is that local authorities were made aware. Whether through sheer volume of calls or through actual investigation, it seems Chrisean's behavior finally crossed the threshold from social media controversy into official scrutiny. What's both sobering and disheartening is how long it took to reach this point. For years, even viewers had been raising red flags about Chrisean's parenting style, her increasingly reckless public behavior, and the potential harm to her child. But like many internet personalities who live their lives on livestream, there was always a degree of separation between online consequences and real-world accountability. Now, that separation appears to be breaking down. As for Chrisean herself, she has yet to directly address the latest wave of backlash. Her usual pattern has been to deflect criticism, labeling it as hate, claiming people are jealous, or accusing viewers of misunderstanding her intentions. But this time, the response may not be so easily dismissed. When Child Protective Services gets involved, the stakes change dramatically. For those watching from the outside, this is a stark reminder of how the internet can blur lines between content and reality, entertainment and endangerment, celebrity and accountability. What might look like just another live stream can actually be a window into someone's real life, with real consequences for the most vulnerable people involved. And if there's any silver lining to this troubling situation, it's that people chose not to look away. Faced with a clear sign that something was seriously wrong, viewers took it upon themselves to speak up and seek help for a child who couldn't advocate for himself. Where things go from here remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: this wasn't just another viral moment. This was a turning point. During the stream, Chrisean left Junior alone in a car while she argued on the phone with Blue. His frantic, desperate cries could be heard in the background, yet she seemed more focused on the argument than her distressed child. Things escalated when, rather than checking on him herself, she asked a Twitch staff member, a total stranger, to intervene so she could stay on the call. That moment sealed it for many. Her livestream was flagged en masse for child neglect, prompting Twitch to permanently ban her from the platform. Despite the footage being crystal clear, Chrisean later returned online to deny everything, claiming people misunderstood what they saw. She insisted Junior wasn't alone, that several people were nearby watching him, and that she was being vilified while trying to juggle work and motherhood. But for many viewers, the damage was done. They had seen and heard too much to believe her version of the story. In a now viral segment of that livestream, she appeared flustered, bouncing between conversations, trying to downplay the seriousness of what happened, while simultaneously throwing blame at Blue for failing to support her. She listed off names of people in her support system and assured everyone she had help, that she wasn't homeless, that she had all her son's needs covered. But the stream felt more like damage control than genuine accountability. And then came the incident with her sister, Tesehki. The situation escalated after Chrisean went live on Instagram while spending time with Junior. On the surface, it seemed like just another casual livestream, her playing with her son, laughing, interacting with viewers. But it didn't take long for things to take a darker turn. At one point during the broadcast, Chrisean raised her hand over Junior in a quick, sudden motion and said, half laughing, "Watch this." The tone was clearly meant as a joke, or at least, that's how she framed it. But what happened next is what really caught people off guard. Junior immediately flinched and recoiled, pulling away from her with a look of visible fear on his face. His body language was unmistakable, arms pulled in tight, shoulders hunched, eyes wide, as if bracing for something that had happened before. That moment hit hard with viewers. The chat flooded instantly. Comments poured in, some angry, some concerned, some stunned into silence. Because while Chrisean hadn't actually struck him, the way Junior reacted felt like a red flag that couldn't be ignored.
It's a different demon. 2, I did not leave my child in no freaking car. He was outside where everybody was standing. It was multiple people sitting around his stroller, waiting for me to get off the phone. Cause my child father is over here being demonic, don't want to support me, don't want to do nothing, don't want to send me nothing. He talking about sit in the house. Because, what? I have a great support system. I have help. I have Pastor Mike. I have Tim Bone. I can name. I have Arissa. I have a lot of support that's there for my son. I don't have to pay for anything. Diapers, wipes, clothes, you name it. No, I'm not homeless. That's the other thing. Stop. Y'all weird. Especially that whole side. Y'all never cared for my son. What the heck? First it wasn't his. Y'all kept saying that. First it wasn't his.
People weren't reacting to the raised hand alone. It wasn't about that single second in isolation. What unsettled viewers so deeply was what Junior's reaction seemed to imply. Kids don't flinch like that for no reason. For many watching, it wasn't just about what they saw on that live stream, but about what might be happening when the cameras aren't rolling. What kind of environment had shaped that instinctive fear response? What was really going on behind the curated, sometimes chaotic social media image? The clip of that moment spread with the kind of speed only social media can generate. Within just a few hours, it was everywhere: TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube. People weren't just casually sharing it either, they were dissecting it, slowing it down, replaying it over and over, zooming in on Junior's face, on his posture, analyzing every twitch and flinch as if they were experts on body language. Entire threads and comment sections filled up with breakdowns of that split-second interaction. Some users stitched together side-by-side clips of similar moments from past live streams, suggesting a pattern that had gone unnoticed until now. It wasn't just casual viewers chiming in, either. Mental health professionals, parenting coaches, and trauma-informed content creators began weighing in on what Junior's instinctive reaction could signify. The consensus wasn't comforting. Many pointed out that flinching in response to a raised hand, even when it doesn't make contact, isn't typical behavior for a child who feels safe and secure with a parent. One therapist commented in a viral TikTok, "Children who have experienced consistent safety don't instinctively brace like that. That's a learned response. That's fear showing up in the body before the brain even catches up." Other parents shared personal stories, saying things like, "That's not how a kid reacts to a parent they feel safe with," or, "That flinch tells a bigger story." I've seen that look before, from my own child when we were getting out of a bad situation. These weren't just offhand remarks. They were deeply personal, resonant comments that reflected lived experience. As the clip continued to circulate, the tone of the conversation shifted from simple outrage to genuine concern. People weren't just pointing fingers anymore. They were asking real questions about Junior's well-being. Posts calling for action, for reporting the situation to child welfare authorities, started gaining traction alongside the endless stream of reposts and commentary. The sheer volume of attention made it clear this wasn't going to be another fleeting internet moment. It had struck a chord, and that chord wasn't going quiet anytime soon. The conversation expanded beyond Chrisean herself. It turned into a broader dialogue about how social media can sometimes mask real issues happening in families, especially when influencers turn their children into content. Viewers debated where the line should be drawn between harmless family moments online and something potentially harmful or exploitative. For Chrisean's part, she seemed to brush it off. In a follow-up post, she called it just a joke, insisting that people were overreacting and trying to make something out of nothing. She downplayed Junior's flinch as him being jumpy and accused viewers of hating and looking for drama where there isn't any. But for many, that response only made things feel worse. Instead of acknowledging why people were concerned, it came off as dismissive, even defensive. And when it comes to a child's well-being, most people aren't interested in brushing off their concerns as just social media noise. The larger worry wasn't just about Chrisean's behavior on camera, but about what that behavior might reveal about everyday life for Junior. What kind of tone is being set at home if a child instinctively braces when a parent lifts their hand even as a so-called joke? There's a reason this particular moment stuck with people. It wasn't loud or dramatic on the surface. It wasn't about screaming matches or visible harm. It was about something quieter, more subtle, but no less serious: fear that doesn't need words to be understood. That kind of fear stays with a child. And for many viewers, watching it happen in real time was both heartbreaking and impossible to ignore. It became more than just another controversial moment in a live stream. It became a symbol, a signal that there might be deeper issues lurking beneath the surface of Chrisean. Is a public persona. In the end, it wasn't just about that one raised hand or one flinch. It was about everything that one moment implied. And for a lot of people watching, that was more than enough reason to speak up. Speculation grew rapidly. Had this child learned to associate his mother's raised hand with pain? Tesehki certainly seemed to think so. She began telling people that Chrisean has a habit of putting her hands on Junior behind closed doors. According to her, the child's fear wasn't just imagined, it was a learned response. A survival instinct. Tesehki didn't hold back. Either, she posted her own video shading Chrisean, boldly declaring that she was the real mother, a woman who raises her kids with love, not chaos, and doesn't make her entire world revolve around a man. I'm a mother first, she said, standing tall in front of $1 million home, unapologetically asserting her independence and stability. No rapper, no reality check needed. But this clash between sisters had deeper roots. Not long before the public fallout, Chrisean had accused Tesehki of misconduct dating back to their childhood, a heavy, damaging allegation. In response, Tesehki threatened to sue for defamation, making it clear that their relationship had been fractured for a long time. What started as a family rift had now exploded into a full-blown public spectacle. It's clear this isn't just drama. It's generational pain playing out in real time. And sadly, at the center of it all is a little boy, whose well-being seems to be getting lost in the noise. Things between Chrisean and her sister, Tesehki, aren't just messy, they're explosive. Their feud, already fueled by serious accusations and public callouts, took an even darker turn when Chrisean publicly revisited painful memories from their childhood. During a tense moment, Chrisean called out Tesehki for what she claimed was predatory behavior when they were young. She accused Tesehki of initiating inappropriate games under the guise of playing house, something that's haunted her into adulthood, while Tesehki tried to downplay the situation, saying, "That's all TV," and insisting they had moved on. Chrisean made it clear that forgiveness didn't mean silence, especially not when it came to trauma that had never truly been addressed. But it didn't stop there. Not long after Chrisean came forward, their nephew also spoke out, and his story was even more disturbing. With raw emotion, he shared that as a child, he was allegedly coerced by Tesehki in exchange for doing chores, like cleaning her shower. He described moments that were confusing, traumatic, and far beyond what any child should ever have to process. In his own words, he explained how these experiences nearly drove him to take his own life. Multiple times. His recollection was chilling, being lured into a garage, then later brought into a bathroom by another relative, and asked a question no 7-year-old should ever have to hear. You want to be next. For him, the trauma wasn't just about what happened, but also about being too young to understand it, too powerless to stop it, and too isolated to speak out. Chrisean later reinforced her original claims during an interview with Jason Lee. She insisted she wasn't the only one who had been harmed and doubled down on her belief that if her accusations were truly false, Tesehki would have already served her with defamation papers. "Where's the lawsuit?" she asked. "Where's the paperwork?" "Nothing's been filed." To Chrisean, the absence of legal action spoke volumes, especially considering the gravity of her claims. She believes Tesehki has spent so long denying it, she may have convinced herself it never happened. But for Chrisean, the pain is real. "I'm not saying this for clout," she said. "I'm saying it because I'm not going to be silent about it anymore." At this point, it's clear their sibling bond has been shattered far beyond the typical family drama. What's unfolding is a web of generational pain, unresolved trauma, and emotional wreckage, much of it now being processed in the harsh, unforgiving light of the internet. And while there's still so much the public doesn't know, one thing is painfully evident: the wounds between Chrisean and Tesehki run deep, and healing, if it ever comes, will take far more than silence or denial. When it comes to Junior, Chrisean is treading on dangerously thin ice, and people are taking notice. With each public misstep, the calls for child protective services to intervene grow louder. It's no longer just outrage. It's concern rooted in fear for the child's safety. Viewers had a lot to say after the now infamous moment on live stream, where Chrisean raised her hand toward Junior and said, "Watch this." One commenter described the moment with heartbreaking clarity. The second he saw her arm come around, he twisted his entire body and tried to get away. That's not the reaction of a child just playing. That's fear. That's muscle memory. They went on. Neurological condition or not, children know when something bad is about to happen. They remember patterns and they respond to pain. I've seen this before. She hits that baby when she's angry. When she's mad at Blueface. When she remembers this child isn't his. When she's ashamed of how things turned out. And now, that helpless little boy is taking the brunt of her shame, her regret, and her rage. I'm crying just thinking about it. Others speculated that even if Chrisean herself hasn't physically harmed Junior, someone else might have. That baby's reaction screamed trauma. One person said, "Someone's been rough with him." Maybe not her, but someone. That kind of fear doesn't just come out of nowhere. So the question remains, are we witnessing the aftermath of hidden abuse? Or is the internet rushing to judge a struggling mother under the glare of the spotlight? Let us know what you think. Has Chrisean crossed the line, or is the internet projecting its own conclusions onto a complicated, painful situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you thought this was messy, just wait until you see what happens next. Click here for the full story.